Hi guys, and welcome to this week's reading vlog where we're gonna sit down, lock in, and hopefully get a bunch of books read. But the twist this time is that the books we're reading, we're gonna sit down, read them, and right after lock in and watch their movie adaptations to kind of see which one did it better, the book or the movie. And so let's just jump right in because I have so many fun fandoms I want to kind of immerse myself into by reading the books and then watching the movies and getting the references. And so it's finally time. So now for context, I've already kind of chosen the TBR, or at least the potential list of books I want to get to in this vlog, and so we'll kind of be recycling between a few of those, seeing if the book did it better, if the movie. And per se, I'm of the opinion wherein I always believe that the book does it better because the movie just does not have enough screen time to adapt it exactly the way the book has done it. But I am still ready to be proven wrong, because we have a couple shows in this, I believe, as well. And so it really depends what I'm able to get to in the span of this 1 week. But I'm really hoping we can get through all of the ones that have at least come out recently, because we've been having a lot of books being made into movies these past few months and whatnot that I really want to catch up on, that people have been raving about. And at this point, I really just want to see what it's all about, which is why this video is happening in the first place. As you can kind of tell with the gorgeous sunset happening behind me, there has been a summer storm that's been raging the entire day today, thanks to which I feel like we have the perfect weather conditions set up for my reading aesthetic, my reading background for right now, to kind of pick up the first book that I want to start off with in this video. And while I've already kind of started it, I started yesterday night and managed to listen to quite a bit of the audiobook as I was going ahead and making the thumbnail for this week's upload. I still am so excited to get back to it now, because this is like the perfect atmospheric setting to kind of listen, which means we're hopping in strong right now on the first book. I really want to go ahead and finish it this evening itself so I can go ahead and then watch the movie tonight and then kind of have all of this in sync together, because I don't think it'll be there tomorrow, which means we have to buck up, we have to get on with it, and we have to see how it's going to affect my reading, because maybe it might add on to it, who knows. But those are essentially the overall plans for this week: read a book, watch the movie or the show, and then kind of decide which one was better. And then that's basically all we'll be doing. So let's just hop right in now. I'll go continue on the first book we've started and kind of enjoy all of this as I'm doing it. Honestly feels perfect, like a sign from nature that I'm doing the right vlog at the right time right now, which means let's just start. I'll see you all in a bit now once I do have the book read, and then we can go ahead and watch the movie. And I'm so excited to see what everyone's been hyping it up about. Hi guys, and now welcome to the next evening. It's taken me a whole half day to process our book and our movie. But yeah, I'm done with the first book. I also watched its movie and whatnot, and I have a bunch of things to say at the moment. So locking in now, we're going to be speaking about Wuthering Heights, the book at the moment at least. And that's basically it, because yesterday I managed to stay awake till about 2 in the morning getting the book read. And then around 5ish is when I went to bed, because I figured might as well just watch the movie right after while everything was fresh in my head. And because free will, I felt like it, so I did it. And I have a bunch of things to say about it, which is why here we are, spent the whole day kind of collecting my thoughts. And so first, for a quick premise on the book, we follow this tenant called Lockwood, and there's a huge storm going on outside, which is why he can't return to the place he's currently residing at, is this manor called the Grange. And so he ends up going to a manor which is close by in distance to the Grange. The only place he can find is shelter to kind of wait the storm out, and it's called Wuthering Heights essentially. And they're kind of close in distance, but he doesn't know his way back home, which is why he figures he's going to ask the people residing there for shelter until the storm goes at bay so he can finally return home. And the person who's actually residing at Wuthering Heights at the moment is Heathcliff, his landlord. So he figures that, he'll get some sort of abode, it'll be fine. Except as he ends up spending more time there, and as he ends up spending sort of the night there trying to figure out the sort of dynamics within that family, he realizes that Heathcliff is like a sullen, ill-tempered man, not the sort of landlord he originally expected to meet. And there's a bunch of history between the Grange and Wuthering Heights, both the families behind it, both the manors. Stuff happened in the past that now Lockwood is inquisitive enough to go and inquire about, which is why the next day onwards he starts looking into information, digging deeper to find out what really happened. And that's basically the story. For what actually happened, the information he finds out. So keep in mind, there were two different families living at that point. in those two manors. So in Wuthering Heights we had the Earnshaws, and in the Grange we had the Lintons. And the Earnshaws, the father, he ends up adopting sort of Heathcliff at an early age, but they aren't like blood related and stuff. So the father has like a daughter called Catherine, who ends up having this like passionate, sweeping sort of romance with when she was younger with Heathcliff. It's like a love affair, nothing really comes of it, but they know they love each other to the bone. And there's all of that situation. But as she's growing up and now it's time for her to kind of pick a husband, it's marriageable age and whatnot, her social class predetermines that she should not choose someone under her class. And because Heathcliff is the adopted son in a way, and because he is from like a lower sort of class, he is poor, he comes from poverty, and if she were to marry him she'd face social degradation, she ends up choosing the Lintons, so the man in the Grange and whatnot, because they come from like a higher sort of standard of class. That man is rich, she'll probably be provided like a nice comfortable life, easy to kind of live out and whatnot, because there is money, there is luxury there. And so she ends up choosing the easy route, the comfortable route, over what could probably be a harder one. And so she ends up choosing over her love, kind of scorning Heathcliff in the mix and whatnot. So as she's going ahead and getting married to Linton of Grange, Heathcliff actually ends up fleeing. That's the last you hear of him until now. Fast forward a few years later, she's married to Linton, Edgar Linton, and she's living her life as well as she probably can be at the moment. But Heathcliff kind of returns, and now he's come back for sort of like revenge, because he's not stopped thinking about her. He's developed this sort of like obsession with her. He feels wronged over their love being rejected, and he's come back a gentleman. So he like has a bunch of money now, he's richer, he's everything she probably could have married into if he was when they were younger and stuff, because that's what she was looking for. But it's too late now for their love. The way it works is that now he's a gentleman. You don't know where his money came from, but he's of good class and good breeding, and now he's using all of that to kind of torment Catherine into regretting the decision she made of not having chosen him. And so you kind of watch how their decisions, that one choice, kind of impacts the generations that come beyond as well. And you kind of watch how this is not a love story, by the way, it's not a romance in the slightest bit, but you kind of watch how obsession, when it's parading as a love story, sort of dismantles everyone's lives around them, not just the two of them, and it's literally ripping them apart. It kind of goes on and affects and spills over into the next generation as well. And there's like a bunch of things that come with that one choice as well. So it makes you kind of wonder how really everything spiraled out of control, but you actually watched it go down. And it's really interesting the way it's written, because again, like I said, it's not a romance. You need to keep that in mind. So you get to watch him kind of dismantling systematically everyone's lives around her, and everyone around her that kind of affected this, just so he can kind of get into her brain and kind of spoil it, because she did not choose him. But also they're both very miserable and insufferable, and they sort of deserve each other, and they kind of deserve this sort of ending. So it's very interesting. I feel, again, the way it's written, there's a lot of dissection you can do around it, there's a lot of conversation you can have around it. Firstly being that it's not a romance book, please remember that. But moving on beyond that, there are deeper themes you can sort of pick apart, and it's more about the social construct that kind of leads them into the situation, and then what he's doing and whatnot, kind of leading you to realize that he's actually cruel, and that's not love, it's obsession to the point of madness. And that's basically the story. And all I'll say is, it isn't my typical sort of book. You will have noticed, if you've kept up with my channel for a while, that I don't generally read classics because they aren't really my cup of tea. But this one I did enjoy bits of. There were bits wherein I thought it was a rougher read and it was slower to get into. But I feel like, again, that's the whole point of the story, to make you feel a bit uncomfortable, which is why overall it wasn't a bad book. Not my favorite, not generally, like I said, my cup of tea, which is why I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. It was an okay time reading. Not, again, the thing I've heard hyped up in the literary world, especially in my own opinion. But otherwise, yeah, I'm done with the book at this point, and I'm happy I read it going into the movie, because, again, lots of thoughts to say, probably more on the movie than on the book. And if any historic critic is watching this video, they're probably going to hate my opinion on it. But again, it's my own opinion at the end of the day, which is why here we are. I'm done with the book at this point, and then like I said, I immediately went ahead and watched the movie. But in this clip specifically, I'm actually going to break it down. I'm not going to give you my thoughts on the movie just yet, because I don't know how to describe it essentially, but this probably might be one of the greatest tragedies I've ever watched, and so I need to actually take my time to compile my thoughts on it, because that's the only thing I've been able to think about all day, which is why I actually think I want to go ahead and rewatch it again this evening, kind of fully figure out what I want to say before I come speak about it, which is why I'm breaking this clip now. Since I have the time anyway, I'm going to lock in and rewatch it again. Maybe that just goes to say that this has impacted me more than I would have thought it had originally in the first place, that I'm rewatching it for the second time, less than the span of 24 hours. but still I want to go again, just go through that whole set of emotions again, kind of hurt myself again in the process to kind of figure out what I really want to say before I say it, which is why I'm gonna go rewatch the movie now. I'll see you guys tonight once I'm done with it, and then we'll start our next book too. But yeah, so far that was my thoughts on the book. I have so much more to say about the movie, but first let me go rewatch because that's the only thing on my head right now, and then I'll come speak about it. But yeah, honestly, lots of things to say and lots to get into, so wait for my update on the movie in a couple hours. But those are my plans essentially for this evening before we hop into the next book, and that's what I'll be doing right now, which is why see y'all in a bit once it's done. That was the update right now, and bye. Hi guys, so as you can tell, it's many hours later. It's the same day, it's the same night, whatever you want to call it, but it's nearly 10 because I went ahead, I sat down, I rewatched the movie, and then right after that, so I wouldn't like go spiral and whatnot, I had to start the next book, which is like a pure fun romance just to get my mind off of things, just because this hit me so hard that here we are. I needed a distraction and I took it in the form of the next book. But then now if I came in without updating tonight, I know I want to lock in and continue the book tonight and hopefully get it done tonight as well, because I'm pulling some sort of all-nighter to get some work done. Thanks to which, if the book is done by tomorrow, there'll be too many updates in a single day, which is why firstly we'll discuss the movie right now, then I'll go back to reading Heated Rivalry. Yeah, I'm reading that, I'm so excited. And then after that we'll come speak about that book tomorrow once it gets done and whatnot, which is why lots of updates incoming. But for now, about this movie specifically, it's over 2 hours, just over 2 hours, and the best part is it doesn't feel like it's 2 hours long once you lock in, because it takes like 15 or so minutes to like build up into it. Once that initial phase is over, I couldn't put it down, I couldn't stop watching. It was just so good, had me locked in to the point where I had to go watch a couple times. I want to watch once more tonight, but I know I don't have it in my heart to do it because it is a tragedy at the end of the day. They don't have a happy ending and that definitely hurts. But yeah, here we are. This one specifically, I haven't really rated or spoken about movies on this channel before, so I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to sort of like critique it, but it's very similar to the plot of the book and whatnot, in the sense that obviously it's an adaptation, and on the basis of that, which is why I thought we can instead just compare it to the book and then rate it on those aspects, and then that would be my review essentially, because it's very similar to the book. I can't say any new points because literally what happens in the first half of the book is what happens in the movie anyway, and so it's not like I'm introducing new concepts, which is why we'll speak on the basis of a few factors. I'll rate it on the basis of those, and that's my critique. Firstly being, how similar is this adaptation of the movie to the book? Now you must keep in mind it's just over 2 hours, so there was a time constraint, and that book I feel like is over 400 pages easy, and also you must keep in mind a book is using words to kind of express it, which is why I feel like a book is always deeper in terms of imagery, in terms of the story, in terms of the plot lines, and it's harder to condense all of that material into a 2-hour movie so it's digestible for the public, which is why obviously it makes sense that they weren't able to adapt everything from the book. A few characters were cut out and not included, a few very important ones in my opinion, which kind of changed the trajectory of the story. Some things were modified in the story. Second half of the book, which speaks about how their decisions impacted the next generation, none of that's included. It ends off on a very crucial scene in the middle of the book literally, so it doesn't even cover the whole book. But then also you do need to keep in mind that they were working on time constraint, and with the basis of that I feel like they did what they could do, and on the basis of that I feel like it was pretty good. So if you're forgetting the part where they excluded like the second half of the book and didn't include that in the movie, I would say this is like a good 3.5, maybe even 4 out of 5 if you were to compare it to how well it's adapted from the book, because there were specific scenes that gave me chills because I literally read about them and I got to watch them on the screen. Specific quotes that obviously they were iconic and they needed to be included, but the way it was done, I had a really good time watching them on the screen. It's just the characters that were excluded and the way some of the plot line was changed up, that wasn't very fun to me, which is why this is like a 4, maybe even a 3.5, who knows. Next up, casting. I feel like everyone in the cast is just the way I pictured them for like the book and whatnot, except Heathcliff, because in the story he's described as a non-white man, and in the movie, who do we have playing him? a white man. So that definitely pissed me off. I feel like we could have done better with casting, considering the fact that he's literally one of the main characters. But apart from that, yeah, as I was able to like continue watching and see the character again, the actor adapt to what he was given, you know, to work with, it wasn't too bad. I did enjoy it. It's just, you know, it kind of was a deal breaker because that wasn't really what I was expecting. And I'm not complaining in any sense. I did enjoy it with the actor who was playing Heathcliff and whatnot. It's just, I wish we were a little more true to the book, because I had, you know, I've developed a specific mental image of it when I was reading, and this wasn't necessarily like that. So it was kind of like I was distancing the book and the movie from themselves and, you know, making like whole different stories out of the two, but that's something. On that aspect too, I think we can give it like a 4.5, because for the characters that were cast, the rest of them, they were pretty similar to what I'd pictured anyway. Margot Robbie was incredible, and yeah, apart from that, I think that was cool too. Next up, we have like the costumes and the atmospheric setting, and all I'll say is there was one moment when it literally reminded me of like Folklore by Taylor Swift, the album, because just the imagery and the scenery done so well. The costumes, I think they were incredible. Just the whole scene that was set of that time period. Genuinely, I wish I was born during that time period, because it just looks so cool and so fun. And obviously the story does not portray that, but that time period, the way it was depicted, I really enjoyed every second of it. And so I will give that a 5 out of 5, because maybe I'm biased, but I just like those sort of aesthetic movies, especially when it's like set and it's done correctly as to the backdrop of what you're picturing from the book. And you know, I like those sort of gloomy movies as well. Sometimes they hit harder than a happy movie. I don't know what that says about me, but so that's why I feel like that was really good, and it stayed true to the book, which is why I'm going to give it like a 5, because listen, I enjoyed every second of those moments. Lastly, in terms of the actual story, because I can't think of any other way to like give ratings and whatnot in comparison, but I feel like the story was definitely modified, and in the movie specifically, I feel like the characters were made more human, so you feel more sympathetic towards their decisions and you empathize with them more, because certain things they did, it was cruel in the book the way it was described, but it did not go to those lengths in the movie, which is why you don't really get the whole picture of what was in the book. And a few things were definitely changed up from the book as adapted to the movie. In fact, I do believe the movie came out like a day or so before Valentine's, and you can definitely see the character angle they were trying to go with over there in terms of like marketing and everything else, because in the book you are well aware that it's a tragedy, it's not a love story, it's not a romance in the slightest bit. And while you do understand that in the movie it's a tragedy, you still can't help but root for these characters. And I feel like the way the movie was almost romancified, especially Heathcliff and Catherine and their relationship, it does not portray the obsession very well, because you can definitely see it from both sides. And while it's now being shown from both sides, it can definitely qualify as a love story, and how, you know, there's two people with all this angst and yearning that they did not just get a chance to, I guess, like fulfill their story, and that's what it really feels like. So I feel like in that aspect it wasn't really true to the book, because in the book the relationship, whatever you want to call it, because it isn't even worthy of being called a relationship, it's just disgusting, it's cruel, it's nasty, just the way, you know, things happen in the book, how evil some characters are. And obviously it's like social commentary as well, it goes deeper, but none of that was reflected in the movie. I feel like the movie was almost like made into a love story plot, like a dark romance love story, so you're still hoping for them, because it feels like how we have like morally grey male main characters in books, it almost felt like that in the movie. And you know, that's why you sympathize with him, and the whole point of the book is to not sympathize with him, to understand that what, you know, the obsession he's going to, it's brutal and it's wild and it's disgusting, which is why I feel like in my head these two are completely two different stories, because the book is just something else, and in the movie, the way it's romancified, I feel like it does not stay true to the book and the essence of the book, which is why in that sense I would like probably rate it like a 2 or something. But that isn't to say that I didn't actually absolutely enjoy the story that was portrayed in the movie. I did enjoy the book, as you can probably tell, but it wasn't my favorite of all times. So maybe I'm not gonna be one of those like harsh critics who wants everything true to the book, because I'm just not that obsessed with it. But the movie specifically, I think, excluding the fact that it wasn't very true to the book, if you just consider the movie as an entity by itself, in my head at least, if I picture it to be not adapted from a book, if I picture it to be just a movie that I went ahead and watched without knowing context, then I feel like this would probably be the best movie I've ever watched in my life, because just the way things happened in it, it hurt me to the point where I wanted to go hurt myself again by watching it a couple times. I want to watch again because it was that amazing. And this is easily, I think, the best movie I've ever seen. So all in all to say, I really enjoyed the movie. My overall rating, still because I'm biased in that sense, would be a 5-star. It's just as compared to the book. And you know, you can't fully exclude that thought from your head, because knowing you've read a book to watch a movie, that is very important. In that sense, I feel like it's definitely like a 3.5 as compared to like the way it was supposed to be adapted from the book. But then again, it's a 2-hour movie. movie, there isn't a lot you can expect, which is why lots of conflicting feelings at the moment. I am definitely biased because I loved the movie and whatnot if you don't consider the book, which is why, again, need to probably take more time to settle on my thoughts, but at the same time, I want to go watch again. So what does that say about me? I know I loved the movie, it's just it wasn't very similar to the book. Part of me really wishes that I hadn't read the book so I could go in completely blind and still enjoy the story without critiquing the two, but at the same time I feel like it causes for like a good literary debate, almost a good conversation, which is why, again, I'm not really sure, but if I were to rate the movie as compared to the book, it's like a 3.5, like I said, and by itself it's the best movie I've ever seen, so easy 5-6 stars maybe, which is why, again, that's my 2 cents on it. Honestly, it's just my own opinion, so history critics, please don't be mad at me. But yeah, now, even if people are mad at me or not, I'm just gonna go probably watch again because I'm so obsessed with it. I can't stop thinking about it. It's literally consumed my life and taken over. And it's been under 24 hours since I've gone ahead and seen it for the first time. I wish I could literally revert to my old self and watch it again, because genuinely, I was a whole different person. It feels like it changed me. But at the same time, there's all these like conflicting debates I'm having in my head right now, which again contributes to say that it was good. Maybe that's why it's making me think so much. But yeah, here we are overall. I can't believe I almost contemplated not watching it simply because of the casting, because now looking back, I would literally do anything, sacrifice my soul to watch it again for the first time, which is why, yeah, those were my full thoughts on it basically. I'm just gonna go sit with them now, probably have some dinner, and I'll see y'all in a little bit once I have the next book read. But yeah, hopefully the next one isn't as conflicting as this one was specifically, because I've heard great things about Heated Rivalry, and so hopefully that plays up. But yeah, this one specifically, so many thoughts. Can't wait to ask more people to read it so I can actually go and discuss with people in real life about it. But this was that, and now I'm gonna go. So that's it. Bye. Hi guys, and welcome to the next update. Because it's the next evening, I've got the book done. I started the show of Heated Rivalry, so I have a couple of things to say before I get back to it. But basically, before anything, please ignore the fact that outside my window it literally looks like a horror-scape. It's because it's been rainstorming the entire day, and I need to be quick with my update because I'm kind of scared there'll be a power cut and then I won't be able to record, which is why, quickly about the book specifically, now that I'm done. For a premise, we follow Shane, who is the captain of his hockey team, and he's the most straight-laced, goody two-shoes sort of person you'll find, especially considering the fact that he's in the hockey world and whatnot, because he has been raised in a family where he realizes that his dreams and his parents' dreams are what he's finally on the road to fulfilling at the moment, especially considering that now he was made captain of his team, and there's like a lot of expectations riding on his shoulders that he doesn't want to let down, which means he's trying to stay on like a nice smooth path, not bring any attention or trouble to himself, especially because he's already very popular in the media eye, simply because he wants to continue the same way his career has been going and kind of keep up the respect for his family name and stuff, because he's worked very hard to get where he is at this point. He's just like a good kid overall. On the other hand, we have Ilya, who's a Russian, by the way, and he's the captain of Shane's rival hockey team, basically, and he's the opposite of Shane in every way that counts. So he's like cocky, and he's sort of like egoistic and arrogant, but in like a fun, playful way, and he's very flirty, and he gets on Shane's every last nerve, and every time they're together or playing against each other, he's always trying to rile him up unrelentlessly, to the point where the media literally makes a spectacle of their rivalry and kind of speaks about the tension they have on the ice, which kind of boosts both of their careers, because firstly, the two of them are the only ones in the entire like field and whatnot who have the same sort of caliber to be able to go against each other, because they're that good at their game, but also because they have this sort of like unspoken, unresolved tension that the media capitalizes on, because everyone at this point is paying to come in the stands and watch all of it happen on the ice, simply because again, they can't stand each other, they're enemies, and the animosity is fun to watch. That's the whole point. Except what people don't know is that they also have chemistry off the ice, because behind closed doors they've actually been hooking up since both of them were rookies, to the point where now that they are in the prime of their season, literally, they can't let any distraction sort of come in the way, but also no media scandal and whatnot, because that would kind of ruin their careers and tank the whole thing they've got with the rivalry going, the narrative. But as they're spending more time together and starting to emotionally connect, they realize that they're starting to fall for each other, and they want more than the secret relationship, secret affair they've got going indoors and whatnot. Except again, they're not sure if they can have it, because firstly, the media would go absolutely bonkers and they would call the whole rivalry thing that they've been going on about a sham, and then that would kind of reduce their careers to a joke, but also they're both scared to kind of pursue the next step, which is why again we have the whole sort of situation coming into the book and whatnot, them trying to be careful as they navigate their feelings around each other. And I feel like it's an interesting book. Don't get me wrong, I definitely see the hype, but for me personally it's a little too physical. I feel like the first half of it, definitely to see the tension and the rivalry and whatnot, it's been established that sort of way, and I understand because it's the first book in their series. We will have more books in their perspective sort of going ahead with the rest of their relationship and resolving what was left unsaid by the end of it. It's just, again, for me personally, the sort of development still, it is a little bit before we get the emotional connection, and I like reading books with more of an emotional connect established rather than physical connect, which is why it took a little bit for my interest to finally be piqued as I was reading the book. But don't get me wrong, once we did get to the second half, it got so much better because I loved watching the two of them sort of open up for each other and their darkest parts coming to the light as they're kind of being there for each other in ways no one has ever been there for them before. So that was really fun to read about. A couple amazing quotes and scenes overall throughout as well. It's just, it wasn't my favorite romance book overall, which is why I'm going to give it like 3.5 stars. But yeah, it's not bad, and at some point in the future I think I would like to continue the series and see where their story goes, because I'm really curious to see what the next step is going to be in their relationship, because it feels very unfair the way they kind of end off in this book. And you know, I just want them to be together and be happy, because I stand for that sort of banter and I need more of that chemistry. It's just I need a little bit more of the emotional connect, which I definitely do think we'll be getting in the rest of the books now as well, as they start to pursue things deeper, and that'll be fun. Except now for me personally, I did go ahead and start show last night as soon as I finished the book, and all I'll say is it's going to be such like a weird shock for me after I'm done recording this video, because what do you mean from next week when I get back to my books I won't be able to like watch the show on my screen right after I'm done? But for this specifically, I did go ahead and start the show last night. There's one thing y'all know about me on the channel, it's that I'm not like a huge movie and show person. So I feel like movies and shows, because I watch them so infrequently, they can really wow and impress me, even if they're not the best. So on that basis, I generally only tend to watch the adaptations for books I truly have ever enjoyed and had the best time with, which is why I was also contemplating whether I should watch Wuthering Heights or not, which that was such like a curveball. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still craving a rewatch again, and I want to go cry my heart out to it. So that was just like a weird situation. But for this overall, I didn't enjoy the book enough to want to go and watch the adaptation, and considering the fact that it's like a whole show, it's like a commitment to lock into, because there's only 6 episodes at the moment, but there will be a couple more seasons coming out at some point in the future with the rest of their story. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to watch it, which is why I figured I'd test out the first couple episodes, see how that goes, and I'll update you on the show later once I do have things to say on it, and you know, once I've watched that. But for now, I have watched the first 15 minutes of the show. It was sped up. I was watching because my attention span is that bad, and I don't think it's too bad. I think I might consider continuing to watch it. It really just depends, which is why we'll just have to continue going with it. But for now at least, it's definitely, you know, keeping up with the hype I've been seeing online for it as well, because I primarily read the book so I could watch the show, because number one, Ilya is a Russian, so Russian accent. Number two, because I keep seeing their edits everywhere, and I know that's a bad reason to want to go and watch the show and whatnot, read a book, but listen, it just seems cool. And number three, I want to understand the cottage references that everyone was speaking about, and now that I have read the book, I do know it, which is why it kind of feels weird like wanting to watch the show now, considering the fact that it wasn't my favorite. I don't care enough for it. And so again, I'll just have to see what I end up doing. If it does hook my attention, I will continue watching, but for now I'm only 15 minutes in. It's too early on to still judge it, which is why I'll go watch a couple episodes, make up my mind on it, and see y'all hopefully by the end of the week once I get that out of the way. Because for me personally, again, if you've been keeping up with the channel, you know that I am very slow at watching shows. If I'm not like buddy watching with someone, or if it doesn't like completely hook my attention, which that's been only one show ever since I've started shows and whatnot, and that was Manifest, I will probably take my own sweet time watching it, which will be anywhere between a few months to literally years. And so again, it depends how long it takes me to get through with it. I feel like a movie is faster to watch because it isn't too long, but a show is a whole commitment because there's like seasons and episodes, and they're all really long to kind of establish the sort of history and sort of depth you need to go into if you're adapting a book, which is why again I'll have to see what I end up doing. But for now, that's my update basically. Hopefully I'll go ahead and watch some more, read some more, I don't really know. But for now, I did go ahead and start the next book for this video this morning, as I was going ahead and continuing my embroidery work for fashion class that I was doing a few months ago. Please ignore that, it's literally falling apart. But I have more of this to continue throughout today evening, kind of fix up the edges of all the rest of the ones I've done as well to kind of make it perfect for my portfolio, kind of iron it out, fill in the empty spaces with more design, which means I have more stuff to do as I'm listening listening to the audiobook, and hopefully I will be done with the next book soon as well. I do have things to do as I listen and I watch the show, which means hopefully in the next update I'll get either of the two out of the way and I'll come update about that. But for now at least, those are my updates on the book and so far the beginning of the show. Hopefully y'all aren't too disappointed in me, but that's about it. I'm gonna go take a break now and I'll see y'all in a bit once I have the next update. But that's about it, and bye. Hi guys, it's update time now. It's Friday and I have so many things to speak about because honestly I've gone into productivity mode to the point where now I have an update on Heated Rivalry the show. I have an update on the next book I started and finished at this point, Project Hail Mary and its movie, and then the final book because I started that as well for this video, People We Meet on Vacation. But before any of that, let's rewind back to Heated Rivalry because that was supposed to be update number 1. At this point I did go ahead and skim watch like the first episode sped up. There were many bits of it I skipped because genuinely wasn't really interested. It's not really up my alley, it's not my cup of tea. I think I just did not mesh enough with the characters to care to watch the story on the screen, simply because it's not the best book I ever read, so I don't really care about watching it. And frankly, every time I open my laptop to like go force myself to continue watching and at least watch one more episode before I can like DNF it and whatnot in terms of shows, I just gravitate towards watching like other stuff. For example, Suits, because every time I click into that, for some reason I end up clicking into Suits and watching that. So at this point I've just realized that maybe it wasn't for me, maybe it just wasn't my cup of tea, and that is perfectly alright because at least I tried watching it and trying to figure out that I just don't want to watch it, which is why sorry about that. I know that's kind of disappointing, but I don't know, in comparison to like Wuthering, which is the only thing on my head at this point, it's just very physical. It's not as angsty and yearny enough, and I know movies don't have to be that way, but again, that movie's blown my mind. It's been one in the past like few years genuinely that I've truly sat down and enjoyed and haven't stopped thinking about since I've finished, to the point where now nothing is able to live up to that, unfortunately. Even sometimes when I go down to eat my dinner and whatnot and my parents are watching TV, sometimes I'll sit to watch with them, but now I can't even focus on that anymore because nothing is just interesting enough, to the point where I just need something amazing, and this wasn't it in my opinion. So otherwise I will still go through the quick parameters of rating because I did go ahead and watch one episode, and on the basis of that I'll just give you my quick opinion. In terms of casting and characters and the atmosphere and set, firstly I think casting was perfect. They're exactly how I pictured in my head, but also because I saw edits of this before having read the book, so those were the only things I had in my head anyway, and I still feel like it was done really good, very close to the way they're described in the book. In terms of atmosphere, it's set in the early 2000s era, and because I was born during that time, it was so fun getting to watch like callbacks and stuff, at least in the first episode, of the sort of just aesthetic you have at that point. I feel like the attention to detail is really good because Elia has like a Blackberry at some point. The hotel lighting and stuff is very 2000s, if that makes any sense. And then even the whole aesthetic, it reminds me of the new Taylor Swift music video Opalite, because I don't know, it screams those vibes, and I really liked it, at least in the atmospheric setting, to the point where 5 out of 5 on both fronts. I feel like even in terms of like the plot to story adaptation, it's very well done. They've stayed very true to the book, but that's also because there's 6 different episodes, so there's like a lot of time to actually keep the content true to what's already been written, which is why I feel like it's always best to have your favorite books kind of adapted into a show rather than a movie, because no one has to like cut things out and have your favorite scenes excluded from the screen simply because they don't have the time to adapt it. And so thanks to that, I feel like even story to screen ratio, 5 out of 5, it was perfect. Just the way I watched the first episode, at least, very true to the story. Apart from that, yeah, I don't remember if there was any other rating system I'd established, to the point where I'll just have it on screen if there's anything I've forgotten. But for these parameters, it was great. It was a little too spicy for me, and frankly I just don't care to continue watching it, to the point where yeah, I'm DNFing it now. Sorry about that. But moving on to our next book and movie combination. At this point, I've gone ahead and finished the book, and this one's called Project Hail Mary, so I thought we'll speak about it really quick, because for context, you can't like watch this online at the moment, at least. as I'm recording this video, because Wuthering Heights I was able to find online and rent and watch. This one, he did Rivalry, it's literally streaming online, so you can go watch it. But this one, Project Hail Mary, to be able to watch it, you actually need to go to a theater. So that's kind of unfortunate because I don't like leaving the house. But I'm still excited too because I finished my book. I've got tickets to go see it literally right now. So as soon as I'm done with this update, I'm gonna go start getting ready and go watch the movie. But basically, I think I finished just in time because I stayed up late yesterday trying to get the book done so I would be fully done and then get to watch the whole thing on screen this evening. Because in this, the concept is very interesting. Earth, our civilization, humans, we are to the point where we discover this like new sort of like bacteria is the best way you can describe it, called astrophage. And firstly, it looks to be this incredible like energy giving source that everyone's like excited to study about, except as they keep studying it, because they actually find it on the surface of the sun, and so it's like extraterrestrial life, new alien contact and stuff, even though it's just a single cell being. People first think it's incredible, but as they start studying it, they realize that the way it works is that it's like a parasitic bacteria. It's kind of draining away the sun's power to accumulate like its own power and stuff, to the point where as it's doing that, it's eating away at the sun's energy and light, and so the sun is actually starting to dim, and in the whole process the sun is basically dying, to like sum it up and make it all simple and easy to understand. And because of that, now because the sun is dying and the temperature is going to start dropping on Earth soon, we're looking at like a mass extinction level event, something like the ice age again, because even if the temperature drops like a few degrees, some of the species won't be able to survive, and it's just going to keep getting worse over the years, to the point where the future generations don't think they have like a planet left at some point to have for themselves, because everyone's gonna be gone. So all of humanity kind of bands together to work on this one experiment, this one project, to like kind of go ahead and try to find out what astrophage really is and how to kind of conquer it so that the sun doesn't die, we get to keep our species and stuff, thanks to which we have Project Hail Mary that's developed. It's like this spaceship that'll take a few astronauts out to space, try to figure out what's happening and kind of solve the issue. And so aboard the ship we have Rylan Grace and a couple of other astronauts, except now fast forward a couple years to the point where the spaceship is ready and built and it's in the space as well, in front of facing the main issue. We actually are in the perspective of Rylan. He wakes up aboard the spaceship and he was actually put into a medically induced coma on the way there. When he wakes up, he has accidental like amnesia. He is humanity's last remaining hope at survival, and he doesn't remember shit. He doesn't remember his name, he doesn't remember the mission and why he's stranded all alone in the single ship in the middle of space. All he knows is that his crewmates are dead, they did not survive it. He's the only one remaining and he needs to figure out what he's up to now and what he needs to do to fix Earth's situation, which is why that's going on. But as he's starting to like do all these experiments and research in that spacecraft in the middle of literally nowhere in space, he starts to wonder that if this was one alien life they discovered, what if there's more out there, and what if he's not alone in his spaceship and now he doesn't know if the others out there are enemies or friends and whatnot. And all I'll say is this was incredible, the story. This easily could have been a 5-star. It's just the science talks were a little overkill for me, due to which I kind of had to pull the rating down, but otherwise I had the best time reading it. I feel like it was such an interesting story overall, very well thought out. The author probably was like so genius to come up with all of this, because it was explained to like the highest degree. And if you told me that this is something that happens in the future, has already happened in the past, and it's just like research compiled into like a non-fiction book, I'd believe you, because it's just so realistic. But I feel like otherwise, yeah, the science stuff is very well explained by the author anyway. I was able to keep up as someone who hasn't studied science for a few years at this point, so that was fun to actually go around with, read about, cheer for Ryland and hope and pray everything goes great. At around like the under halfway mark, we have like a different character who's introduced that I really had a fun time reading along with as well, and the whole thing at the very end, I was crying. So overall I had a great time. It's just, again, maybe a little less of the science stuff, because while I did understand it, I was bored kind of listening and reading about it, to the point where, yeah, it kind of slumped me out the book in those bits only. But yeah, apart from that, still had so much fun reading it. This was like an easy 4.5 stars anyway. Kind of sad it wasn't 5, but if I keep thinking about it, I don't even care. I'll bump it up because I had lots of fun kind of reading it. Not my usual sci-fi sort of genre, but that just makes it even better, because now I'm finding all these other fun reads that I wouldn't normally gravitate toward for these videos, which means that's always fun and perfect. And so here we are. Now that I have finished the book, like I said, I do have tickets to go and watch it in the show and whatnot, thanks to which now I need to actually go start getting ready for it. And so I'll go ahead, I'll watch it, and I'll see you all in a bit once it's done later in the night. I do have plans to like grab dinner as well later, so it really depends once I get back home and stuff to kind of update. But basically I'm not really sure if I'll be doing any like recording in the theater, simply because they're really strict about it and it's kind of embarrassing if I'll get caught, which is why I'll just see you all directly afterward. I don't really know what I'm doing at the moment, but I know is that I'm excited to see Rylan and Rocky on the big screen, and it's just going to be so worth it, because the past couple days I haven't been able to open my Instagram or anything like that, simply because I put this on my Goodreads that I was reading it, and ever since then my entire feed's been flooded with other people going and watching the movie and having the best time. And because I didn't want spoilers, I did not see shit, so I'm going in completely blind. All I know is that I'm super excited to watch, and that's gonna happen now. So I'm gonna go now, start getting ready, see how that happens. But that's the next update. Finally though, since the morning and whatnot, I did start a final book for this video, People We Meet on Vacation. This is a reread. I'll come speak about it when I get back, but I'm 90 pages in, as you can tell from my little bookmark here. And the goal is basically once I get back home later in the night, I'll try to like read the rest, catch up on this, so tomorrow we can watch the final movie, and then that'll be the end of this video. But basically, yeah, I'm gonna go now watch the movie for Project Hail Mary. So excited, and I'll see you all in a bit now once I do have things to say about it. But basically that was the update, and bye. Literally pray that I don't end up crying in the theater, because that's gonna be embarrassing, but I just think it's gonna happen because of the way the story goes. And I'm a bit scared, but I'm just more excited than anything, so it's gonna be really fun. And I'll see you all in a bit once I have things to say. Hi guys, so it's a couple days since my last update to you. I was gonna go watch the movie for Project Hail Mary. I've watched it at this point. I had to take a couple days off just to again think over my thoughts, because I feel like in terms of movies I'm very easy to please, simply because I don't watch so many, so I'm not that picky for the few that I do end up watching, which is why if a movie truly blows my mind, I need to take a couple of like days to just sit down and process what I watched before I come in and speak my thoughts out on it. Because again, truly this was just like a phenomenal, incredible movie that I want to go watch it again. It was that great. So again, a bunch of things to be said, but overall, if you guys are watching it, please take your chance now and get your tickets now and go watch it on the big screen, because I feel like there's no other way that's correct to watch it. It's made for the big screen. It's just so incredible on it. The graphics, the visuals, as someone, you know, who's studying all of this stuff in college, this was such a treat to watch. I genuinely ate every second of it up. And then obviously I read the book to like watch the movie, so that added on to my experience. But overall, yeah, my entire feed ever since I finished, because now I can go watch it without spoilers and stuff, it's fully just been Wuthering Heights and this movie. And now I don't know which one's my number one favorite of all time. I think it might be this, because again, haven't stopped thinking about it since. I need to go acquire tickets to watch it again. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's only a couple places close to my house that are actually screening it in the cinema. Otherwise, they're kind of far away. And with the way the timings work and other movies in the theater and stuff, it's kind of hard to acquire tickets, which is why I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I do know that I need to go at least once or twice more to go watch it. Trying to talk my parents into coming with me this time, because this is just something everyone needs to see. I feel like no matter what you might end up liking in terms of like genres and whatnot, this is just such a nice, beautiful story of like hope and survival and just everything else that comes with it. That again, friendship and unlikely sort of finding your family in it. Just please watch it. There's a bunch you can, you know, take away from this. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, this be the final movie you actually go ahead and watch from this entire video overall, because it was just so worth it in my opinion. In terms of the little critiques I was giving, the ratings, we can really quickly go over that. Firstly, from book to the screen adaptation, I feel like this is the best movie I might have seen in terms of what I read from the book getting adapted, because it's so closely picked up from the book. I feel like most of the important scenes, like 90% of them, were covered on screen. There were no mistakes, no changes in the storyline to fit it in the 2-hour gap. And I heard somewhere that the director's cut was actually bigger, so it was like 3 hours or something like that. And now I'm wishing they gave us all of that, because I would happily sit down and like watch the whole thing, because it was just that incredible the way it was done. And yeah, I feel like in terms of adaptation, it stays very true to the book and the essence of the book, and so that's very important to me, which is why 5 stars. Again, I'm biased because this is now my number one favorite movie of all time, but yeah, 5 stars in terms of that. In terms of actors and the casting, what I will say is that I did not picture Ryan Gosling for our main character Rylan Grace, but genuinely, I see the vision now and I take back everything I might have thought before, because he is literally perfect. Once you sit down and watch the movie, there is no other man who can play Ryland Grace the way he does it. So happy they got that done correctly as well. In my opinion, it's 5 out of 5 also. The rest of the characters, just the way I imagine them, the rest of the story, the way Rocky was pictured, again, it was just so incredible, guys. I'm so sorry, but anyway, that was another 5 out of 5. So happy about it. It was just so incredible. I know I haven't been rating like soundtracks and stuff, but for this movie specifically, I have to mention it because I went in completely blind, so I wasn't really aware. But they have Sign of the Times by Harry Styles playing in it, and that song is literally so perfect for the entire essence of the story that I have chills. I was crying so hard in the theater watching it because it's perfect for the storyline and whatnot. And while it's not Harry who's singing it in the movie, it's one of the different characters of the story. It's kind of like a karaoke session they're having. She's singing it. I feel like her rendition of it was still just so incredible because her voice is shaking, and you get to see all these humans coming together for like one cause of survival and trying to save humanity, and then all of everything coming on the line, and she's, you know, scared, but also she's trying to put up like a brave front for everyone else because they're about to embark on this mission and stuff. And then you have that song coming in with the meaning behind the song and the story behind the song. Stop. It was just so, I have chills speaking about it right now because it was so incredible. When it came up, I just burst into tears, and yeah, I think it was just so perfect as well, so had to mention that, obviously. Finally, yeah, for like set design and everything else that comes with it, the last criteria that we were going to rate it on the basis of, that's another 5 out of 5 because I feel like just the whole aesthetics of the space stuff that's going on, so their spacecraft and then everything else in the background, and you know, the sky and whatnot, and the planets, and you know, astrophage and everything else that comes with it, it shows you that it's also a life form that, you know, is beautiful, that it managed to survive and adapt, and it's not trying to kill anyone, it's just trying to survive. And so again, a bunch of beautiful metaphors thrown in throughout as well, lots of deeper meanings, lots of Easter eggs to uncover with the rest of like the background and everything. That also, this is another 5 out of 5 incredible banger. That all I have to say is, in my opinion, this movie was perfect. If you don't think so, please do not come talk to me because genuinely, I don't care. This was perfect to me in every sense possible. If you get the reference, you do. This means it's perfect. If you watch the movie, you basically know. But yeah, I'm just so happy I got to see this. I can't wait to go see it another time, pick apart more meanings. I feel like y'all would be interested. I would be so happy to go ahead and sit down and record like a full spoiler sort of breakdown for the movie of all the Easter eggs I've been able to come across so far and how it connects in the most incredible, genius, mastermind sort of woven thread. That again, this is like the best movie I've ever seen. This is just so incredible. Can't wait to see it again. And all I'll say is, I'm gonna keep speaking in circles, but to me, I feel like again the deeper essence behind it, the way so many things were just written in, and it's up to you to figure out. But once you do, it's just so good without taking away. It's just adding on to the book and whatnot. It's humanizing all the characters so that you empathize for everyone because no one is bad here. Everyone's just trying to survive. Again, I loved every second. So 5, maybe 6 stars out of 5 because this movie overall is the very best. I can't wait to go see it again, and that was just the best experience of my life. But yeah, now unfortunately moving on, even though I don't want to because I want to stay stuck on that time period forever. I would do anything to watch it again. However, even though I can keep going in circles, I do need to go and edit the rest of this clip and post the video tonight, which is why I need to give you dates for our final book and movie. I did go ahead and start People We Meet on Vacation, my reread of this, because I read this for the first time last year in my reading Emily Henry's backlist video, and this for me, for context, is a 5-star book. Upon reread now, it's another 5-star. We all know it. This is just so close to my heart that it couldn't be anything less, which is why it's gonna hurt when I watch the adaptation, knowing that I get to watch it for the first time, you know, only once, but also because this is just so close to my heart that I need it to be adapted exactly perfect. Otherwise, the movie might not be for me, which is why I'm kind of scared to get to it. But I know I will at this point because I've gone ahead and finished my reread. I left my bookmark in on purpose because I actually just wanted to show you something funny really quick. But a few days ago, my mom went to the department store and she got these magnetic bookmarks for me and my sister, and there's actually a unicorn, but see how perfectly the color scheme of that matches my book. Again, great sign, just wanted to show you that. No one really cares, but I thought that was like a fun add-on. And at this point, yeah, I used this bookmark and it's just in the book, but I'm done rereading. So for a quick premise, basically, before I go ahead and watch the movie, in this we follow Poppy and Alex. They're completely like opposite people and whatnot. Poppy, she loves traveling, she's got insane wanderlust, she doesn't want to stay stuck in one place for too long and whatnot. And on the other hand, we have Alex, who is like an introvert. He just wants to be at home, read a book, stay indoors, be by himself. except dynamic again should not work together, but because they come from the same small town of Linfield, they've never met there before, but when they are away at college, they actually end up meeting because they're looking for like some sort of carpool back home. And now because they both have to go to the same destination anyway, they end up going together in this car ride where they start, again because of close proximity, start interacting, start developing this bond, from where they start making out sort of plans like to hang out and whatnot, spend more time together, from where that kind of evolves into a slow and easy friendship, to the point where now he is literally her best friend. And while they don't necessarily live in the same place at this point and whatnot, throughout they make it a point that they're still able to meet at least once a year together in their summer trip and whatnot, wherein every year, no matter what, they will take a trip going somewhere, yet whatever, just to like hang out, have a few good vacation days together, because on vacation you can literally be anyone. Except as all of this is happening, we start to realize in present timeline that they aren't like friends anymore, they don't even talk anymore, because something happened on their vacation trip 2 summers ago that it's ruined everything between them. And now Poppy is desperately looking for like a way to reconnect with him, because she realizes that she's in like a life rut, and when she has to think back to the last time she was truly happy, because at the moment she should be happy, she's got everything career wise and professionally, and she gets to travel for work and she's happy overall, she's happy in her apartment in New York throughout. It's just she's sad and she kind of misses the last days when she was happy, when she was with Alex on those summer trips, to the point where now she ends up reaching out to kind of reconnect with him, kind of go on one final summer trip together. And as all of this is happening, she needs to convince him that they are again good as friends, to become friends again, to kind of fix what was broken in the first place. Except again we have sparks and chemistry coming up, so it's not that simple. And overall, yeah, I'll say it, this is just one of the best romance books I think I'll ever read in my life. The first time I read it, I really enjoyed the romance of it, but now having read it for the second time, I feel like I connected more than I did the first time round, at least with Poppy's character, to the point where again it's just such a special read for me. There's just so much about it that I love that I will be disappointed if it's not adapted exactly the way I'm picturing it to be in my head, which is why I'm gonna go watch the movie now. I'll update y'all in a little bit once I do have things to say on it and once I'm done. But yeah, I'm kind of scared to watch it, but at the same time, this one, it was a complete 5 stars again upon reread, so I feel like nothing can be that bad, because like the story is gonna be the same. It's gonna be my favorite people. I'm gonna have the best time, so I'm gonna go watch it, and I'll see y'all again later in a little bit once I'm done with final thoughts and whatnot, because it is getting later and do need to go watch it and then come give my thoughts and end the video off so I can post it tonight. But yeah, overall, so it's like a fun week because I've got to read some books, watch their movie, and now I get to read one of my favorite books ever and now watch its movie, which is just gonna be so incredible that I'm so excited, and I'm gonna get into it now, and I'll see y'all in a bit once I have things to say. But that's the update for now, so that's it, and see y'all in a bit, and bye. Okay guys, it's update time because I did lock in this evening, finish the movie for People We Meet on Vacation. I'm done watching it at this point. I'm not its biggest fan, so let's lock in now for my criticisms because I have a bunch of things to say. But before anything, again, please remember that once you read a book and you realize that it's one of your favorite books ever, literally this one, it's obviously going to be very close to your heart in the sense that all of your favorite scenes, they need to be adapted exactly the way it is, and if they're not, you're going to have qualms, which is how I'm feeling at the moment, because it isn't my favorite movie I've ever seen. It's not even that great in my own opinion personally, but I still see how it does work for the book and whatnot, considering the fact that this is like a nearly 400-page book, 361 pages condensed into a 2-hour movie, which is why it does make sense why the movie was the way it was. It's just, it wasn't for me. So for my breakdowns, basically, number one, I feel like the whole book to screen adaptation is not the best, because again, you have quite a bit of content in this to kind of break down and condense into a 2-hour movie, which is why again it doesn't work that way. But also because you have like 10 summer trips in this book, there are condensed to only 3 past summer trips in this, which even the flashbacks leading up to those trips, they were weird and it felt a little too forceful. But not just that, the actual trips, I feel like all the mini references and like key little Easter eggs from the books that were supposed to be taken and put into the movie, they're all pushed and kind of summarized almost into like a Cliff Notes version into those 3 trips, which is why it felt a little icky and weird, because I feel like again the timeline of events had to be changed up to kind of fit in the movie, which is why the trips aren't the way they were in the book. Many things are changed up, many things don't line up the way they did in the book, and so that's why it wasn't fun. You don't get to watch these two people connect over the span of the trips, you just watch a few quick trips and whatnot, and they're connecting throughout, yeah, but it's just not the way it was in the book. And again, I'm not trying to be picky here, that's just the way I feel, number one. Number two, I sort of feel like Poppy and Alex's connection at the beginning was rushed. I don't know, don't sue me, but if I had already just watched the movie without having read the book, I don't think I would have liked it even a little bit, just because of the way everything feels a little sped up, because again, they're trying to condense quite a big book into a 2-hour movie, and it does make sense, but just the way it was happening, I could see the chemistry, but it just wasn't long enough, the tension wasn't enough for me, which is why that's there as well, which is why I think for that rating, I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 maybe. In terms of casting though, I feel like the actors who were put in for the characters, they're literally perfect, exactly as I'd pictured, so that was really fun, because at least they nailed that right on the head, and so that's like an easy 5 out of 5, because again, just the way they behave, their little quirks and mannerisms, it's exactly the way it is, so that I really enjoyed. In terms of like set design and like props and everything else with the background as well, that too I really enjoyed, because again, a few things from the book that were adapted exactly the way they are, so like Easter eggs and stuff, we got to see Emily Henry, the author, in like a background clip, so that was fun. We had a Taylor Swift song come in, so that I also really enjoyed, and so overall that would be like another like 4 or 5 stars out of 5. There's this one summer villa they were living in that I thought was beautiful, and so there's all of that, but overall, yeah, one of the reasons the movie did not work for me is because their connection did not feel fully established the way it is in the book, because in the book you get more time with them. Here you get only a little bit establishing the connection before you start to see that throughout the movie Alex is in an on and off relationship again with his girlfriend Sarah, and that's not the case here. They're only together in a little bit, so it does not feel too wrong, but in the movie specifically, there are a few scenes, the way they were adapted, that just, it did not work because it felt like cheating. And now people will come and yell at me because I enjoyed Wuthering Heights earlier in this video, and that definitely has cheating in it. That's 100% got it. This one doesn't have it, but it still feels a lot like cheating and unfair to the characters, because in this specific story, in its specific sense, it felt a lot like they were sneaking off behind their partners' backs, and just that I could not stand for. I'm so sorry, that just did not work. And throughout that connection, it just felt wrong to me and kind of forced and again rushed, because of the fact that majority of the time they did have other relationships and stuff that were already established, and you know, they had people to get back to, so the kind of, again, tension that was being built up between them, it just did not make sense to me, which is why overall the movie, if I were to rate it like as a collective, it would probably be a 3 out of 5. I know that sounds harsh, it's just, again, their connection in the movie just didn't work in my opinion. It did not give me the emotional connect I looked for, especially the way it gave me in the book, which is why again I'm a little disappointed, because this was like my number one adaptation I wanted to watch this year. But anyway, I'm done watching at this point. There were again moments of it I enjoyed. There were many scenes at the beginning that I was giggling at non-stop, because it's giving like pure rom-com energy and whatnot. It's just, again, the cheating bits, I feel like if that could be changed a little bit, especially like towards the end and whatnot, with Sarah and everything else that comes with it, just, I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not the biggest fan of the sort of way they fell out in the movie as well, the third act breakup in the past trips and whatnot, which is why, again, there's that. But there's also the present timeline breakup that I didn't really enjoy, which is why not a lot made sense in the movie in my opinion. And so I'm really hoping the rest of her books, they get adapted into better movies as compared to the book and whatnot, just not the way this was, because again, I'm really praying they don't fumble like my favorite book ever, Beach Read, the way they fumbled this, because that would truly just break my heart. But yeah, I'm done watching this overall now. I'm happy I'm done, because don't think I'm ever going to go back and rewatch. I want to reread this again this summer when I go for vacation, but I'm not watching that movie again because it wasn't the best, which is why I'm done at this point, and that's the end of my update. But that's also the end of this reading vlog, which is why now we've reached the end of this video. Now, regardless of all my, I guess, like hot takes in this video, because there's quite a bunch of controversial opinions I formed throughout, I hope you guys still had like a fun time coming along with me today. And if you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. If you did, go ahead and like watch any of the movies in this video specifically, or read any of the books. Please give me your thoughts and opinions, because we can discuss all of this, and that would be so fun, because I have so many things to come speak about, especially in terms of like Wuthering Heights the movie and Project Hail Mary the book and the movie, because I enjoyed those so much. And then obviously this one, my reread of it, because it was so fun, which is why, again, hit me up in the comments. It would be so fun, our own little book club. But yeah, apart from that, we have reached the end of this vlog, so I'm going to kind of end it off here, and I'll see you all now directly next week for next week's other fun video, because we have something that I've been waiting for a little year that's been lined up coming up, and it's going to be so fun that stay tuned for that. And until then, now I'll see you all directly next week, which is why take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and so I'll be seeing you soon now for a very fun, exciting vlog next week. That's about it for this one, and so we're done now, and I'll see you all soon, and until then, bye.